Hello there. It's been a while, hasn't it? The last time I tried to record was me saying that I'm quitting this channel. As you can tell, it didn't really work out. To keep things very short, I'm not very happy with Digimon at the moment. Digimon in the UK is essentially dying or is dead in lots of places, and I don't know what to do about it, quite frankly. But what I do know is that the biggest event that is happening in Digimon in Europe is coming up in 2 weeks' time. I'm obviously talking about the Digimon card game, the Bandai Card Game Fest in Utrecht. It's in, well, less than 2 weeks' time as I am recording this, and hopefully you'll see this video before the event. I need to prepare for this huge event. As this may be my final event in the Digimon card game, I've decided to go back to a deck that, well, I've got quite a few memories with. And that, of course, is DarkKnightmon. DarkKnightmon has been, I guess, my favorite deck in this game, other than Eosmon. It has gotten me the most amount of tournament, I guess, wins, going top 4 at a big event in Leeds and top 8 in an Ultimate Cup back in BT10 to BT11. This deck has always had its issues. The issues continue to become bigger issues in the release of version 2.0, the new set which we've finally got in Europe. One of the reasons why I've stopped trying to do this game is because of all the delays, but hey, at least this set has one of my favorite archetypes, I guess. So for the past couple of weeks, I have been trying to make a build of this deck ready for Utrecht. And today I'm going to take you in and show you what I've been cooking. I'm not gonna lie, it's not really anything special. And if I'm being honest, I don't think DarkKnightmon is a good deck right now. Maybe I'll do a video about that at another time. As of right now, Dark Knight isn't doing so hot, and it's because of the meta around it. If you know anything about the 2.0 meta, it essentially boils down to blue or bust. And what is DarkKnightmon's worst thing? Blue. Turns out Mirage is really good against it because you have a level 5 and not a level 6. And it has Hexablow as well. And then if you're playing Pale Dramon, well, you might as well just say good riddance. However, I'm not really planning to play this deck just to try and win the event. If I was going to do that, I'd obviously play the blue decks. But as this is potentially my final tournament in Digimon, I thought it'd be nice, a bit nostalgic, to play a deck that I'm very familiar with and that has garnered me so much success. In fact, probably due to my success with this deck, I don't know if I'll be making videos on this channel about the Digimon card game if it wasn't for this guy right here. This guy right here has been with me since BT10, and now, well, almost 2 years later, we're bringing it back. So let me talk about some of the new stuff that is happening with this deck. So when it comes to the new DarkKnightmon support, there are only really 3 cards we need to discuss because the level 4s are suck. I think the level 3 isn't that good either. It is mainly the level 5, a new level 6, and the Tamer card itself. So let's talk about the brand new DarkKnightmon. This DarkKnightmon is a simple DDG evolution, and then if you digicross with 2, you delete a free cost Digimon or Tamer. The Tamer actually matters quite a bit because sometimes that Tamer can be one of the hybrids that is popular during this format, and also random other stuff like SOC, TK, I guess. Its on deletion effect is also quite interesting as well. It has a material save 1, which is new for this archetype, and it allows you to play one Digimon with Knightmon in text from its sources from one of your Tamers. It's kind of similar to the old BT10, but instead of it being from underneath its own Digimon, now have to do it from the Tamer itself, which you do with material save. It also has a nice inheritable, which is probably one of the more important things about this card. It allows you to play a card with Knightmon in its text, level 4 or lower though, unfortunately. Let's talk about the next level 6, and it wasn't something I was expecting to be for this archetype, but it is obviously the brand new Lord Knightmon Ace. And this card actually does quite a lot of heavy lifting in the deck. It's obviously an ace, so it has the blast counting time, and then when you digivolve, you may play a level 5 or lower Digimon with Knightmon in its text from your hand or trash without paying the cost. So that means you're able to play your Darkknightmons from trash, and as you are playing them, you are able to digicross with them as well. So you're actually getting double value here. And it also has the effect of all turns, all Digimon with as much or less than DP, this one also gains collision. So not only are you a massive blocker, you're also able to force your opponent to block to get rid of their problematic Digimon. This is actually quite viable in decks that play rookies that tend to stop you reducing play costs, which is very important for DarkKnightmon. And then finally, we have the new Tamer. It is obviously the Nene Amano. This is your standard set to free Tamer, which is something the deck has desperately needed now for a couple of years. And it also has the same effect that the Nene and Kiriha have, which allows you to digicross from your tamer and also the trash. This just means that when you do go into your Lord Knight, you have stuff from trash and also from the sources if you need them. The problem with this deck though is that this support is all over the place. The Lord Knight is obviously really nice, but the Dark Knight and the Nene and all the other support like the level 4s, which are basically vanillas, and the level 3 Monimon, which is kind of bad at times, they all focus around material save and saving under tamers. But this is a new thing for the archetype, because in BT10 it was essentially just from hand or trash with the old option card that I can't remember now, Immortal Ruler I think it is. Same with EX4, same from doing from trash all the way back into BT7. So it's a weird additional thing to the mechanic. Obviously it fits because it's from cross, but it's a bit weird for that reason. So while the new support is really good, it has a lot of weird synergies going on with the deck. However, what I'm going to do now is showcase you my version of the deck and hopefully getting some good practice in. So yeah, let's go over to the deck profile. I generally can't remember the last time I actually did a deck profile, but let's get straight into it. For our eggs, we play 4 Promo Monimon, 4 Monitamon BT10, 3 Agumon starter deck, 2 Zenimon BT18, and 2 Chikurimon starter deck. Going into falls, we have 4 Skullknightmon Mighty Axe mode, 4 Deadly Axemon EX4, 4 Skullknightmon BT7, and 2 Skullknightmon Promo. Then we have 4 DarkKnightmon BT19 and 3 BT10 DarkKnightmon. Going into sixes, we have 4 Lord Knightmon Ace and 2 DarkKnightmon X Antibody. For level 7s, we play 1 Defexmon and 1 Quartzmon. For options, we play 2 Ultimate Flare. And then for tamers, we play 3 Nene Amano BT19, 3 Nene Amano from BT10, and 2 Kiriha and Nene from EX4. If I'm being honest, I think there's definitely some room for improvement in the deck. Like for example, the rookie lineup could potentially be changed up. As you saw, I'm not playing any of the new Monimon because I don't think it works very well, and I'd rather have rookies that do something or stop something altogether. So it's an interesting bit of mix, especially with the level 4s. The level 4s are a bit iffy because if you are not aware, the original Dark Knight stuff came out in BT7 and it didn't have Twilight, but all the other support has Twilight other than like the BT8 Cavalier mode. So it makes this balance of Skull Knight, Deadly Axes a bit weird, and sometimes the lack of Twilight can definitely hinder you as well, so it's a bit weird for that reason. I'm going to try this combination of level 4s, level 3s and see how that goes. I've also got access to some other level 6s, potentially some other aces if I want to as well in the future if I want to test those out, but at the moment I think the main ace being the Lord Knight ace is good enough. We'll see how it goes from there. What we need to do is test for that event, so I'm done rambling now. Let's go into the locals. So it's been about a week since that tournament, and so now I'm going to go over my matchups and if I won, lost, and what I would do differently in those games. Starting off with my first round, I was against 7 Great Demon Lords, which is a pretty meta deck at the moment. It does have some really scary cards like the Lucemon line. The deck is still quite scary as it still has, plays out big guys and controls the board pretty quickly. Stuff like the Billsmon, for example, is really good against my deck because it digivolves my Dark Knights. It didn't really come up this game, and to be honest, this whole game was a bit weird. Game 1, I ended up trying a different strategy of just trying to hard play guys, but unfortunately I didn't have rookies, and I think the key to this matchup is having rookies, because if I didn't have rookies I wasn't able to apply as much pressure, meaning stuff like Creepymon, Billsmon, the Lucemon stuff was able to control my field, and I ended up losing this game due to giving him enough time really to set up, get his Ogdu, and essentially win there. Game 2 was definitely different though. My strategy was focusing on mulliganing into getting level 3s, and I got a lot of level 3s in my opening hand and I used them to crack at his security quite often. The good thing about this matchup though is that the Lucemon forces you to delete a Digimon or Tamer, so in certain situations if I was going to be able to go for like a huge swing push on the following turn, I was able to then go into deleting my Nene Amano, gain 2 memory, and then potentially go for a huge push on the following turn, because the blocker didn't really matter in this matchup. So it was just essentially a searcher and gain 2 memory later down the line. With that, I was able to swing at security multiple times, and I was able to stick a board. Another thing that I should mention is the DarkKnightmon ace in this matchup really did help me quite a bit, because I was able to stop him from putting things underneath his the gate of the 7 demon lords, I think it's called, causing collision and then attacking into it because he has to block. So in that situation, it is very good in that I'm able to essentially answer them, which we definitely do take. So I'm happy about that. Unfortunately, it did end up in a draw, but me and my friend decided to roll dice and I rolled higher, so I won the game. Game 2 is against a matchup that I am kind of dreading coming up to the Utrecht event and in local play as well when I'm playing this deck, and it is blue. My opponent was playing a pure like hybrid Hexy Blaumon deck, which was quite interesting, using the new hybrids from 2.0, and they were quite interesting. And this matchup essentially went the way that I thought it would go for this deck, as he is playing the Hexy Blaumon stuff. So he's playing the Blue Co, I think it's called, other level 4 and level 5 of the deck. He was able to essentially strip a lot of my sources, which meant I wasn't able to go into Dark Knights, and essentially because of that, I was not able to really answer his field. There was stuff and times that I could answer his field with stuff like the Ultimate Flare that we're playing currently, and also the fact that he goes into Hexy Blau and also deletes a Tamer and then slows me down completely from suspending on my turn is annoying. It's not on his turn, so I can still block, but yeah, it definitely did slow me down considerably in an already slow deck. So unfortunately, in I think game 1, it was pretty much a whitewash, and then game 2 was definitely a little bit more grindy, but I think it was just because we were just messing around at that point because there wasn't anything I'd do. It got to a point where I could swing for game, but he could have swung for game like 4 or 5 turns ago and still won, so I ended up conceding. That was a loss for me, and the loss that I expect the most going into the Utrecht event, because blue, the Ultimate Cup just happened, I believe, the other day, and the finals was a Galaxy Mirage and just normal Mirage on its own as the finals. So once again, we are playing another Mirage meta. Then going into my third and final game of the night, it was against Zephagamon, which is a deck that I wanted to play really badly, but I think it's really hard to pilot well. And my opponent is relatively new to Digimon, so he obviously knows the core rules, but I think there's times where like maybe doesn't understand the threat or, you know, what to do in certain situations, and I think that was proven a lot in the game that we played. Obviously he has never seen a Dark Knight card in his life before, so I was able to use that to my advantage and also control his field. The Zephagamon is actually quite annoying because it prevents it from all effects essentially. That makes it difficult to answer. However, I was able to get into some rookies that slowed him down, mainly the Zenimon, so when he just deletes something in battle, he wasn't able to gain the memory back to continue his turn. Not to mention that he also plays a free cost Tamer, so I was able to go into Dark Knight multiple times to delete the Tamer itself, giving me huge advantage and also controlling his field. So for that reason, I was able to essentially control his field with a combination of the Lord Knight Aces, the Dark Knights, and I was able to win game 3, ending up 2nd/3rd place, essentially the one of 2 people that went 2 and 1. Let's talk about what I like and what I dislike about the deck from this testing. So, testing. There's a lot of things really, and the main one that I'm happy with is the freeze. I think the freeze are really strong actually. The one thing I don't like about the freeze is the Chikurimon from the starter deck. It's a really good card and it helps a lot in matchups, such as the 7 Great Demon Lord matchup, but unfortunately it hinders you a lot as well, and if it doesn't die in security, you're having a way slower turn, and I think kind of hinders you as well. So I think when it comes to the Chikurimon, I think I'm going to have to either potentially play it more smart, I guess, or play it when I know when my opponent's going to be playing stuff. So it's a difficult one to balance because I also want to play Dark Knights, and he's not obviously going to delete all of them if they know what Dark Knight does. So it's a bit of an interesting one. I'm not too sure what I'd replace that rookie with though, and I don't think I would want to replace it either. The 4 lineup was pretty decent. Again, it's struggling with the fact that none of it has material save other than the Skull Knight promo. Yeah, like that is a problem. The Twilight thing didn't come up that much with the DarkKnightmon from BT7, which was nice. And the Skull Knight, I feel like, is actually really decent when swinging into something and then digivolving. That in itself is really good, but it's hard to get that off. So yeah, it's kind of an iffy thing if you ask me. I'm still undecided on the level 6s. I do think Lord Knight is probably the best level 6 you can play in this deck, but I feel like I'm lacking some control elements. Stuff like the Quartzmon and the Defex. The Defex didn't come up at all during my game, but it potentially could come up in future matchups, not at my locals, so I'm a bit hesitant to get rid of it. The Quartzmon actually won me a game, the Zephaga matchup, which was quite nice, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to win me the game. So maybe the level 7s and some of the level 6s I switch up just to try and get some more control in, because the Dark Knight X is obviously really good at deleting tamers and reviving essentially a card from your discard, but it is expensive and that is kind of difficult. It also has unsuspense, to be fair, so it's not that bad, but it is definitely very costly to go into. Maybe in the future I'll try something like the Vikemon or the Shadow Seraphi aces, because they have really good control elements, or maybe even go to the Mega Gargo, but I'll have to do some testing with the deck further. But yeah, other than that, the tournament, my locals, went the way I expected it, kind of honestly. If you play blue against me, I'm probably losing. If you're playing a different color, I might have a better chance. And it's also important to note that my locals isn't super competitive. Like, a lot of my friends that go there just play like fun stuff just because they want to play fun. So yeah, maybe it's not a good inclination of like what Utrecht is going to be like. I'm feeling more and more confident about Dark Knight now that I think more about it and its play and a lot of stuff that I can potentially do in the future. That's all I have to say about the deck. The next time you'll see me is in a new video for the Utrecht vlog, and I hope you're looking forward to that. Until then though, thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel for some more Digimon / TCG content, I guess, and I'll see you all next time.